I'm going to argue that JD Vance is a very intelligent, and when you look at him, you can tell he's cerebral and chooses his words very carefully. But all the same, as a politician, as someone who is linked with Trump, he should never be trusted. But that being said, I'll give him compliments for being very cerebral, very thoughtful. This guy went to Iraq and served as a Marine, and when he came back, he pledged against it. He said he was against that war, and said that he has reservations about America being an imperialist nation which uses war rather than negotiation and diplomacy. And I think that's really who he is. I think domestically, I may not agree with everything he says. He's a right wing person, um, strongly believes in capitalism, and may represent a view that a lot of people of color or people who are liberal would find, I won't say offensive, but I would say that his ideology may not be aligned with that. But it's clear from what I've learned about him that he does not believe in war. He does not believe in imperialism. He believes in isolationism. But here he is as the vice president of America, while America is funding a genocide in Palestine, while we're still funding a war in Ukraine, which he remains silent upon. I'm pretty sure he's dead set against that because it's a waste of damn money. Um, while we've bombed Iran several times, or we bombed them once, and we've helped Israel assassinate a lot of people from Iran. And I've never really heard him have such bloodthirsty language and say these things um, are right. What I have heard him say, what he has to do to toe the line for the administration since he's under Trump, is to say that the U.S. does not want a regime change in Iran. I really believe that he doesn't want that. I believe Trump doesn't care, and I believe the Americans in general want a regime change. I don't think he wants one. He says they don't want a regime change, but he says that it was necessary to strike them if and only if they have building nuclear weapons, and he thought that they were, so he thought it was justified. I think he's smart enough to know that they weren't building that, but he has to toe the line, party line, and what I mean by party line is the U.S. government, the State Department. I'm not talking about the Democrats, Republicans. It's the same thing. He has to say these things, but if you listen to his language, it's very moderate. So this leads up till today, where in Israel he showed up, and I think this was an emergency meeting. They sent him because he's the good cop. Trump is not the good cop. They sent him there to give a sort of voice that sounds a little bit compassionate and sounds like he really wants progress in the country. And what he said was that people should not lose heart just because Israel has escalated this situation again when there was supposed to be a ceasefire. He didn't get into who was right or wrong, but he did say that along the line there will be ups and downs. So people shouldn't be frustrated or give up hope, that this is a long process and we're going to have peace between these two groups of people. The way he spoke in calm measure and everything, I believe that that's what he wants. But I believe he was there to as a PR job because Netanyahu is out of control, and Israel is still trying to occupy Gaza and Palestine. He has also said that when everything is said and done and Israel is turned into a state, he didn't say technocratic, I say that. When it's turned into a state, he doesn't believe Israel should have troops in there. And he said that America will never send troops on the ground. When he's saying these things, he's also planting his ideology in there because he's like, okay, well, Israel has to fight Hamas. He's going to say Hamas is evil. He's going to say that Israel is justified in this war. He's not. He's going to say that he has firm support of Israel, but he's not going to say that he's in support of Israel having troops in there. And he's also not going to say that he's in support. What's the other thing I was going to say? That the U.S. is going to help fight this war. He doesn't believe the U.S. should help any country in any wars. That's actually his real view. But once again, he has to toe the party line. His focus is any dirt that he would do, or not dirt, anything that he would do that I really find offensive would be things that he would do domestically. He's an authoritarian. He's right wing. I'm not going to call him racist, but the reason he has power is because of a lot of bigoted people. Funny enough, I'm wearing MAGA. Make America great again, not Trump. But anyway, so he went there and tried to be the voice of calmness. What I hold against him is that I give him credit for saying Israel needs to not be in Palestine and in Gaza. And then once Hamas is gone, they need to no longer be there. Uh, he's still overseeing what I call the technocratic state of Palestine. Once Palestine is so-called uh, recognized as a country and this war ends, it's going to be controlled by a bunch of Arab states who are doing the bidding of the U.S. and of Israel. But that's for another day. But also, I want to say that when he says that we look forward to settling this issue between these two groups of people who have fought for so many years, he's going back to biblical. What I don't like about him saying that is that he's also whitewashing the fact that the reason this war is taking place is not because these two people have been feuding since biblical days. It's because the Zionist movement, which started in the late 1800s and reached what I would call its full fruition in the 1940s, has been a movement in which so-called Jewish people have been sent from Europe, and Britain creates a country and says, here you are, without asking the permission of the people who lived in that region, which we call Palestine, or whatever the area was called. In that area and in places like Jerusalem, Muslims and Christians and Jewish people and Hebrews were living peaceably. These guys came and started a political state. And since then, they've been trying to wipe out the Palestinians, the Arabs, and making it a one state for all of Israel. So what I don't like is when he says we're trying to make peace between these people who've been feuding for so many years. That's not really the truth. If we're trying to make peace, what we're trying to do is stop Israel from continuing, even before the genocide, continuing its illegal occupation, which has been going on since the 1960s, its illegal occupation of Palestine, and also its continual naftas, where they've been killing hundreds and thousands of Palestinians. This is not the first time they've done that. That needs to stop. But of course, he can't say that because he's towing the party line. But I want to give him credit for at least through his body language and when I watched him in speech, giving out the type of vibe that he's really not about all this crap. But at the same time, he's not going to stop the party line. And I don't think he cares that Palestinians are getting killed. I think what he cares is that America should be isolationist and focus on internal things. He doesn't care about the Palestinians. But this is not his time. I think that got like Charlie Kirk and like Candace Owens and like Tucker Carlson and people, he's that type of a right wing person who a Christian conservative who wants to focus on things within the U.S. and not all of this. And he's cerebral. He's very cerebral. He wrote a book. He was in the Marines. He came back and protested against, not protested, but spoke out against the Iraq War. So I think he's smart enough to know that the U.S. can't continue going down the road of trying to be an empire and trying to spending money on war and everything. Maybe if it could happen, he would be in favor of it. But I think he's smart enough and cerebral enough to know that it's leading to economic disaster, social decline in our country and everything else. And I think he's just biding his time until eventually he runs for president. And he might believe that when he gets into office, there'll be enough of a populist movement that the CIA and other people can't control him. If he ever did get into office, I hope that would be true. All right, so this has been another episode of Political Gurus. We talk about what's happening in our country, the United States. We're not left or right. We just want a rational perspective to be turned into policy in this country. If you like what we've been talking about, subscribe. Also tell your friends about it. Thank you.